I'm Nathan Ponchard, this is Chasing Cars, and this is the 2022 BMW iX, the first ever BMW to not have a number in its name, and the first BMW to have this new monolithic design language. As a sign of the times, the iX is actually BMW's star car of the moment. And when I say car, I mean SUV. Because much like the i8 was to BMW in the 2010s, the iX is so far in the 2020s. It's made in the same plant in Dingolfing in Germany that made the i8, and where that was actually a hybrid, the iX, as we probably all know, is an all-electric SUV and BMW's flagship for now. If you're wondering where the iX fits in terms of sizing, it's roughly the same size as an X5, with the roof height of an X6 and the sort of outlandish presence of an X7, meaning it has this rather startling grille at the front, and this one here has 22-inch wheels. So it's not about being small and svelte, it is about being in your face. Speaking of face, this iX here has this little panel here that is sort of like the panel that hides all the active cruise, all those other little things, the sensor panel. But like that car in that Stephen King movie, Christine, it can actually heal itself when it gets stone chips. So there's a little bit of sort of alien DNA in this car. This car here is an X-Drive 40, which is the entry-level iX in Australia. Starts at about $136,000 before on-road costs. This one here has a sport package, which is roughly $6,000 more than that. And among a few other extras in this car, it has these super cool BMW laser lights. That is the daytime running light so far. These are BMW's thinnest ever lights. And as you may have seen on the XM concept that recently debuted, prefiguring a plug-in hybrid M car for next year, these are part of their new design language. Slitty and angry, and I love it. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Also interesting is that this bonnet, which is nicely creased and rather attractive, is completely sealed. So the only person that can access what's inside this engine bay are BMW technicians or someone who can somehow break into that. All the customers cannot access this. This is just about covering what's underneath. This is to fill up the windscreen washers, not charge the car, and will lock when you lock the vehicle. Well, that's quite cool. Down here, this sport model here has all these strakes across the bottom here, this sort of kind of electrical print design that seems to be quite common on electric cars at the moment. The rest of the car is also quite techy as well. Starting here, we have these optional 22-inch alloys, which are quite stunning. This all black iX really does look good. I kind of think that it is helped by the fact that the grille color codes with the rest of the car, but if this is the star of the show for BMW SUVs, then it's going about it the right way, I think. I think it looks really good. Underneath here is just steel sprung suspension with adaptive dampers. The X-Drive 50 above this car has adaptive air suspension, but for now this one is the steel version. Now, coming around the side of the car, we have a couple of things to point out. I love the fact that it actually has frameless doors and also these little kind of pulse panel door handles. So you just squeeze underneath there and it opens up. We've got this full frame here that disappears when you wind it down into the door, and same on the back as well, as I shall demonstrate. Yeah, they're really cool. Got a little iX panel here, which sort of looks silver in some cars. Here it's all black, and I think that looks pretty good. This panel here is all for the charging. We've got the AC and the DC chargers. Oh yeah, that's how you open them. You just pop them out like that, which are stored under the boot. And around the back here, it has the same sort of lighting signature as the front, with these very slitty tail lights. This is BMW's new design language, matching the front of the car. It really has a presence from front and rear on. Now, if you thought accessing the boot was via the BMW Roundel, you'd be wrong, because it actually has the little camera thing in the back here, which is quite cute. The boot is just a little pulse underneath, revealing 500 litres of boot space in this beautifully trimmed boot with really quite plush carpet underneath the floor here. This clips out and has quite a deep little well here, which has two different types of charging cords. It also has a little net here to put across the back to stop your dog from entering the cabin or what else is in the boot there. If you drop the back seats, which can be done electronically by these little buttons here, it goes to 1750 litres. So as you would expect for an SUV that is sort of roughly 5 metres long on a 3 metre wheelbase, you have quite a lot of luggage space. As I mentioned earlier, this is the xDrive 40, which comes in two models, the standard version and the sport version. It also comes as an xDrive 50 with a more powerful engine that starts at 169,900. This 40 version here has a 77 kilowatt hour battery, which is a gross amount. It gives it 240 kilowatts, 630 newton meters, and a 0 to 100 time of 6.1 seconds, which is pretty quick for a rather large SUV weighing 2.4 tons. The xDrive 50i has a 112 kilowatt hour battery, which is a gross measurement. It has 385 kilowatts, 765 newton meters, and even though it weighs 100 kilos more than this 40, it does 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds. So that is not hanging around for a little piece of futurism, or not so little, like this iX we have here. In terms of their range, the xDrive 40 has a WLTP distance range of up to 425 kilometres. The xDrive 50 has a WLTP range of 630 kilometres, or up to 630 as BMW says. The 40 can take up to 150 kilowatts of charging, the 50 200 kilowatts of charging, and in terms of them going from 10 to 80% charge, this xDrive 40 here takes 31 minutes, and the larger battery at xDrive 50 takes 35 minutes. As part of their standard equipment, all three iX variants also include 5 years worth of free charging through the ChargeFox network. Now, one of the beauties of having frameless doors is that you kind of get in with this sort of sports car feel without a frame in the way. They also have soft close on this car. I want to demonstrate it now because it's part of an enhancement package that this car has. Also, you can press a button and the door just opens like that, so there's no messy handles. The enhancement package costs $9,500 on this xDrive 40 and includes those laser lights we saw before, as well as the soft close doors and this panorama glass Sky Lounge roof, which has this enormous glass pane and has a button up here that goes between translucent and opaque and blocks out 100% of UVA and UVB light, which is really quite techie and cool. This car also has leather seats with this beautiful diamond stitching that runs all the way down the sides. That is called the Interior Design Suite. The leather is actually olive leaf tanned extract leather, which is just runs off the tongue. This version is Amido, which is charcoal. It's also available in one called Castanea, which is tan, and it also does this section in the door here. So if this was tan, it would just have this two-tone tan bit there. Tom would absolutely love that. I probably would really like it too. These seats also are standard, these sort of full tombstone thing here. They just kind of really sumptuous and comfortable, and the leather is beautiful. Among other things in this xDrive 40 interior, not all of which are standard. It has this sort of little wood section here that's a sustainably sourced wood. It has a fancy name which I can't pronounce, but it does have a little bit of mid-century warmth there. We also have crystal bits and pieces. So this volume control here is a little crystal barrel. It's crystal for the gear knob. It also has crystal little sections for the seat adjustment in the door, as well as the seat memory and the seat massage button. Just adds a little bit of sort of bling to the interior. The steering wheel in the iX is called hexagonal because it has 6 sides. 2, 3, 4, yeah, 6. It looks a little bit like the Quartic steering wheel out of a 1970s Austin Allegro. I'm sorry for saying that, but that's what it reminded me of. It is a little bit unusual to hold because it does have a bit of a bump here. It's not perfectly smooth. The rest of the iX's interior is very minimalist, dominated by a pair of curved screens, as you'd imagine in close to 2022. This part here is 14.9 inches in diameter, this one's 12.3, and you do most of the controlling through this screen. In fact, I just did gesture control for the volume accidentally. We have a home button here, but we also have the home button here, and all of that does sits down the side, the climate sits across the bottom. It is, again, putting everything into a screen, but it does seem to be reasonably seamless. Here we just have the vents through the middle and the front and rear demisting for the screens and the hazard button. That's the stuff that you really need. In the center here we have this sort of nicely padded armrest with a really quite deep pocket and a little actual solid tray that sits at the top here that's rubberized. In the center here is the wireless phone charging and 2 USB-C ports, a 12-volt outlet there and 2 cup holders here. But across the floor here we pretty much have a flat floor, although there is a little section down here in the middle that reminds me of a Renault 16, but that's just me. The view out of the iX is reasonably good. There is a bit of a curvature at the bottom of the A-pillar here, but there's a little extra window here that runs between where it and the mirror is to give you a really nice view. And I just love the cleanliness of the design of the interior. It kind of mixes with that total minimalism and the sort of almost decadent luxury of having these diamond stitch seats. If you don't want to have leather in your iX, you can actually have interior design loft, which gives you a cloth microfiber mix and is not using animal materials and is only available in stone grey. I don't know whether it's going to feel as good as this beautiful leather, but it's definitely a good alternative. Another little neat feature that is optional in the iX is that it has a little camera built up in here. So if someone actually breaks into the car, it takes a photograph of the person when they enter the cabin, which is helpful. The standard stereo in the iX is an 18-speaker Harman Kardon system with 655 watts, although you can option a Bowers & Wilkins system, which is 30 speakers and 1615 watts. Sitting in the back here, the frameless door ambience isn't quite as nice as in the front because the window only winds down to there, but at least they're trying. And I have discovered that if this little push button here doesn't always work, there's a hidden door handle under here to still do it manually in case electronics go upside down. We have a decent bottle storage in the door here, like the front, but we also have the same beautiful sort of diamond stitch leather that runs all the way down the side around here and kind of looks like a big blankie. I think it's really nice. The seat is awesome, absolutely beautiful to sit in. The middle seat here is good too, but only really on the base. This backrest it's the armrest. It's hard. I don't know why they don't make that cushy, but hey, anyway. We've got the Harman Kardon speaker here. This lovely little cloth section in the door here, and then this is all of that interior design suite leather, which could also be tan, as I mentioned in the front. In front of me here is that sort of tombstone seat that looks really kind of alien-like and totally fitting for the iX. There's a pair of USB-C ports here in this little piano black section here. There's also a little clip down bit here where you can mount things like iPads and other stuff. I asked if you could mount a little sort of entertainment tray, and I don't know whether there's an answer to that, but the answer is probably no. In the center here, we also have some more piano black around the pair of air vents, which match the air vents in the B pillars. We have dual zone climate control, and underneath here, we just have ambient lighting. So there's sort of like room to stretch out and put your feet there rather than having a console. Completely flat floor, all of which is kind of the point of having an electric vehicle in the first place. We have these elasticized map pockets here, and in these little panels like underneath me here, we have this sort of section where it has the Isofix seats for the kids' seats, where you just lift up a little flap and then it slides back down again to cover it up, which is quite cute. And the armrest here, even though it's hard when it's up, it's also useful when it's down. Has a pair of cup holders in the front, and voila. It's kind of ironic that the last BMW electric car that showcased its design materials, like the carbon fibre door frames and all that stuff in the iX, was an i3, which is a very small car, and here we have a nearly 2.5 tonne SUV. But I feel like that irony is just something people need to get over. This is a car fit for a purpose, and so people aren't going to stop buying SUVs anytime soon. So why not make it an electric vehicle that has between 425 and 630 kilometers of range, that also has the level of design chic that the iX has. This is a piece of luxury furniture or whatever on wheels. Like, it is a design showcase for what BMW is going to become. And I think that the interior and the comfort and the space and the kind of coolness of it makes it seem like that the future is going to be worth it. And the thing about the iX is it's just the start of a whole bunch of all-electric BMWs, including the i4, there'll be an i5, an i7, the iX3, and so on and so forth. But this, having no number in its name, is the star of the show. If you haven't subscribed, please do so below the video, hit the notification bell and let us know what you think about the 2022 BMW iX electric SUV or about chasing cars. Thanks for watching.